Welcome to this week's edition of SKNI's Week in Review, where we recap all major government release activities for the past week. I am your presenter, Rahim Berry. Highlights for the week of April 8th to April 14 includes United Arab Emirates to donate solar-powered desalination plants, Ministry of Agriculture held first in series of school visits to promote Agriculture Open Day. The United Arab Emirates, UAE, has agreed to donate 2 solar-powered desalination plants to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as part of their UAE Caribbean Renewable Energy Fund. The fund is a $50 million plan to build climate-resilient renewable energy projects in 16 Caribbean nations. During an interview with the water manager at St. Kitts and Nevis Water Services Department on March 16, Cromwell Williams stated that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis accepted the desalination plants because it represents a source of additional potable water for which there is a need. The desalination plant will be located in Canada Estate in St. Kitts, close to the Rifle Range, and the other plant will be located in Nevis. The Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources held their first of school visits on April 12 at the Louisa Grant Preschool to promote the Agriculture Open Day from April 28 to 29.
We thought that it would be a good idea as a ministry to ensure that the children get to learn more about the agricultural sector, which also includes the fisheries as well. And so today we came to the Louisa Grant Preschool in Connery, and we were able to interact with the children. We taught them a few lessons as well, and of course they answered a few questions, and we were so excited, just like the students and the teachers who got to learn so much about the sector. And one of the main important takeaways from this was for them to know that we have a petting zoo that is going to be at the Agriculture Open Day as part of the Livestock Division's display.
Ms. Flanders also stated that the Ministry of Agriculture will be going to other schools throughout the island for them to be a part of the exercise as well. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Infrastructure, Honorable Sean Richards, says the Team Unity Administration within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis intends to expand power generation through renewable resources. Minister Richards, during his presentation at the launch of the National Determined Contribution NDC Implementation Plan at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort on April 12, stated that these renewable resources of energy can be achieved through solar, rooftop, unity-scale power, wind, and geothermal energy.
Since 2010, 2 of our largest trading companies, TDC and SL Horsfords, have installed in excess of 1.5 megawatts of solar PV between them. We have commissioned a 0.75 megawatt solar farm at the airport, a 0.05 megawatt solar farm for Skelec, and a 1.0 megawatt solar farm at ECCB.
He also said that it gives him great pride to speak about the various strides the Federation has made thus far to advance renewable energy. Over recent years, officials at Her Majesty Prison HMP have crafted a number of policies and programs to better ensure the safety of prisoners during their time incarcerated in an effort to reduce the violent confrontation with the prison. During the April 13, 2022 edition of SKNI's Working For You, Sergeant Eric Rochester of the HMP spoke to a number of ways the institution has been working to more effectively reform the prison security apparatus.
One of the things we do in there, some of the things we do, one, surveillance with the cameras. We must have cameras out there to even play back on the, after we take them today, we play back on the following day days after to see what happened, where we were, where we at now, where we could go forward for another day in the future. We place officers after they've been trained in different departments. For example, we have line officers who deal with the daily routine of the prisoners, who sometimes come back and bring information to the officers and say, so, we identify two people up there in a gang, one from the KMS, one from the Tech Life, and they had a little confusion today. And then we go back to the drawing board and we try to investigate further and separate them. I must segregate them for security purposes.
HMP has seen a drastic reduction in repeating offenders over the recent years, thanks in part to the work done in reforming prisoners to contribute meaningful to society, an alternate pathway program introduced by the Team Unity administration. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis launched its National Determined Contribution NDC implementation plan to address climate issues at a significant ceremony at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort on Tuesday, April 12.
Through a series of engagements and consultations, St. Kitts and Nevis has pledged to raise the bar. We pledge a significantly more ambitious mitigation target of reducing economy-wide CO2 emissions by 61% by 2030 compared to the base year 2010. We are cognizant of the fact that it will require significant efforts, collaboration, and resources to achieve the activities outlined in the NDC. For us to do that, we needed to delve a little deeper into the NDC and produce actionable activities. In this vein, I implore all ministries, sectors, and agencies, public and private, to let us work together to achieve the targets outlined in the NDC implementation plan.
The launch was organized to present the final NDC implementation plan to key stakeholders to show political commitment and maintain momentum to kick off implementation, strengthen intersectoral coordination, and outline roles and responsibilities, showcase the value of the NDC implementation plan as a coordination tool that can be adopted across other departments, as well as to facilitate strategic discussion on the NDC implementation plan, roles of ministries, and other partners and steps. All prisoners, regardless of their crimes, are to be treated with dignity and valued as human beings, said officials at Her Majesty Prison in St. Kitts and Nevis during their appearance on the Wednesday, April edition of Working For You.
Prisoners are entitled to 3 square meals, medication. Of course, they must be treated like human beings because that's someone, brother, sister, mother, father. Persons being sent to prison, that was the punishment. They're not to come to prison to be punished. They come there because they may have infringed on the law at some point in time, and the court would have put them to the prison for such time until the court sees fit. But once they come there, they have to be treated like human beings. They can't be treated any other way. This is something that human rights agencies will come down on the country for. If you're treating your people, your prisoners, less than. You actually have something that is called the Mandela laws that give you a perfect guide as to how prisoners should be treated. You can't ill-treat prisoners of war, much less the persons who would have just committed maybe traffic offense or something else.
He stated that the human rights agencies work to safeguard the fundamental human rights and freedom of people who are being ill-treated. And this concludes this week's edition of SKNI's Week in Review. See you next week.